Hey everyone, welcome back to Garden State Growing. My name is Eric. Today I'm going to be making seed starting mix and I'm going to show you how I do it and what I put into it. Not only that, but I'm going to show you a level 1 gardener, a level 2 gardener, and a level 3 gardener. Essentially beginner, intermediate, and I never say expert, I say advanced. So let's get to it. Just want to point or acknowledge something, and that is the tremendous amount of frustration and burden that we're going through right now because of this pandemic of the coronavirus. I know I had made some fun, thinking back now, it probably was in poor taste. We're being deeply affected by this, more than just financially and the inconvenience of things not being stocked on the store shelves. So if this situation has been affecting you, you have my condolences, you have my sympathies. I do work in a hospital. I am well aware of all the risks that are being taken. I take them every day that I go to work and deal with patients who are sick. I'm on the front lines with everybody else, and thank God I'm still healthy and I'm able to bring some meaningful confidence, not just for you, but for me, because this is why I started gardening in the first place, because it helps me get away from the stresses of normal life. So with that said, let's get on to a little bit more of a jovial content or conversation about seed starting. But before we do that, my friend had called me up and said, Eric, I love your videos, but you say like every other word, and it's very annoying. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong. You know, I've heard it in the videos, and I've tried to edit a lot of it out, but it's difficult to edit out. And so he told me, every time I say stop the video, start all over, regardless of how good the take is. Well, I have a little bit better of an idea. Every time I say I have to take a shot. We'll see what happens. We'll see if I can get through this video. So let's get going, and I'm going to show you what I use to start all my seeds indoors. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Garden State Growing channel. My name is Eric, and today we're going to be making a seed starting mix. This is the mix that I use for all my vegetables when I start them inside. I hope you come along on this journey and maybe learn something, maybe want to try something out, maybe want to add or subtract something from your routine. I'm going to take a shot, and I encourage you to take a shot with me. Damn it. You know I like you, Jen. So the first thing you want to do is put dirt in a bowl. I need a bowl. Where's my bowl? So, so you want to learn how to make seeds. Put dirt in a bowl. Those seeds in a bowl. Done. Alright guys, I'm just kidding. I'm not taking a shot every time I say because I would be on the floor for real. That would be a terrible game, because I say way too much. So let's just get going. Let's start with the seed starting mix, and let me show you what to do, what not to do, what I do, what I don't do. All right, guys, now I'm not going to get into what I'm going to be planting. I'm just going to be showing the seed starting mix itself. Now, I began a tremendous amount of questions at work. I brought in a bunch of seeds for people to take home, and they're like, how do I plant them? What do I plant them in? What kind of soil do I get? Well, the reality is, you don't get soil. You don't plant your seedlings in soil. If you do, you're just going to get mold, fungus, and pest issues inside your house. And your seeds are just not going to do that well. Now, the thing that I found, okay, let me show you the beginner seed starting mix, okay? Here it is. This is the, right, it's the Jump Start Germination Station. It's from Hydro Farm. You can get these from Burpees. You can get these a lot of different locations. This one's really nice. I mean, if you're a beginner gardener and you want to start your seedlings off inside, this is a great choice. It's got a humidity dome. It comes with a heat mat that you can turn on and off. That's fantastic. But the thing that I want to tell you about this type of a setup, okay? The heat mat, first of all. Seeds start germinating and they start sprouting out of the soil. You need to turn that heat mat off. A lot of people will leave it on thinking that they're doing good, and they're not. A heat mat is great for getting your seeds to sprout. After that, it actually will do a lot more harm than good. That being said, I also want to talk about the humidity dome. Now, the humidity dome is great for keeping that humidity in when you're germinating your seeds. But after your seeds have come out of the soil, they're about a ½ inch to an inch big. You need to lose that humidity dome. It'll cause way too much moisture on the leaves, possibly cause dampening off, cause fungal issues, cause mold issues, and it won't be good. So just follow those two simple rules. So you're a beginner gardener, you want to start plants for the very first time, okay? Try this out. Just remember those two rules. After the seeds have germinated, get rid of the heating mat. After they're an inch tall, get rid of the humidity dome. It's that simple. So let's move on to actually making our own. So I have looked high and low on the markets for a really good seed starting mix. The good news is I found one. It's Jiffy's Natural Organic Seed Starting Mix. And as you can see on the front, I'll try to bring it up for you. It's part peat moss, cocoa coir, and vermiculite. If you wanted to make your own seed starting mix, that would be a perfect balance as far as I'm saying. Peat moss and cocoa coir are basically inert, which means they don't really affect the seed growth except for the fact that they do hold moisture. And including vermiculite does the same thing. It aerates the soil. It helps to retain moisture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off. I have a 4-quart bowl, which is a gallon, right? So I'm going to start off with about 4 cups of this Jiffy seed starting mix. You know, roughly half the bowl. And are you ready? That's it. Use a Jiffy seed starting mix. But then what I do is I always pre-moisten this. And I'm going to pre-moisten this with a fertilizer. But let me show you. This is Dr. Earth's, okay, pure gold pump girl. I don't even care about that. The only thing I care about are these numbers that are right here that says 111. That's 1 nitrogen, 1 phosphorus, 1 potassium. It's a very, very, very light fertilizer. It's great for seedlings. It will not burn your seedlings. So what I do is 2 gallons of water, 16 pumps of this, dilutes it down, and then I pre-moisten all of this Jiffy's. That's it. That's all I do is I just add a little bit of this. Now, when you do moisten your soil, I'm not going to do it just yet because I'm going to add a bunch of other things for different levels. When you do moisten the soil, you want to be able to pick it up, squeeze it, not have water drain out of it, clump together a little bit, but then when you release it and let it drop, it breaks up. Now you see how nice and light and fluffy this mix is? This is what you want to use for seeds. You don't want to use something that's dense and cloggy and it's going to restrict the root growth on it. So this Jiffy seed starting mix is perfect, right? So let's take this seed starting to another level. Let's take it to the intermediate level. Okay, what do I mean by beginner, intermediate, and I never say expert? I don't care who you are. Unless you're Paul Gowdy, you're not an expert. I don't care. I'm going to say advanced level. Okay, so I'm going to take it to the intermediate level, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add worm castings to this Jiffy mix. This beautiful already mix that you can plant your seeds in. I'm going to take it to that next level, and I'm going to do like a 60-40. Okay, so I got 6 cups of the Jiffy mix. I'm going to do 4 cups of the worm castings. You see this stuff? It's like black gold. All right, now there are some issues to address with starting your seeds inside with an organic matter. And worm castings are an organic matter, and they can bring in pests like fungus gnats and stuff like that. I'm going to show you how we take care of that. Okay? All right. Look at this. In the bag, there's something growing. See that? That was in the bag of the worm castings. There's something already growing in there. That's how fantastic this stuff is. In the bag. Let's get rid of him. All right, so now I've got the 60-40 mix. And this is your intermediate level. You can mix this up, okay, and put this down in your seed trays and plant on top of it. All right, everybody. So we have the 60-40 mix between the Jiffy starter mix and our worm castings, which I know it looks like soil to you, but it's not. It's actually worm poop. I'm playing with poop. Sorry. And I love it. I love every minute of it. So this would be your intermediate mix. I don't care what anybody says. I have tried one way or the other, okay? And I've used just Jiffy starting mix to start seedlings, and they do well. They do very well. Do. I said it. Do. Worm do. But let's take the seedling mix to the next level up. Now, like I said, because I added organic matter to this mix, I may have an issue with something like fungus gnats coming in and hurting the seedlings and just making a nuisance of themselves. So what I did was, I'm going to show you a picture. I went down to my beach because I have a beach 4 blocks away from my house. I'm so lucky. It's only the Raritan Bay. It's a bay, but it's a beautiful bay. Okay? And I stole some sand. And it's been washed and re-washed with salt water, which is an antibacterial, antifungal. So if you're worried about bringing pests home, just boil it in a pot for 15 minutes. You'll be fine. I don't concern myself with it. But I'm going to add this to the soil for 2 reasons, okay? One is it's going to loosen up the soil. It's going to be more well drainage. Your seedlings need to have a well-draining mix that's going to help keep moisture in, but not bog down the roots. All right, so that was the other ingredient that I added to bring this up to an advanced level. Leonardite, okay? It is a processor of humic acid. Now, I know I just said a big, ugly chemical word, humic acid. Well, humic acid comes from humus. There's another word. What's humus? Very simply, humus is the component of soil formed by the decomposition of leaves and other organic matter by soil organisms. And the soil organisms break down the leaves and the organic matter into humus, which is rich in nutrients for your soil. Okay? But when water goes through humus, it leaches out humic acid. Now, this is an acid that's going to burn your seedlings, so you don't even have to worry about that. but it's fantastic for your soil. Unfortunately, because of what we're going on right now with the virus, I can't get my hands on it. The depot's closed down. I'm not waiting online 400 people. Just not going to happen. So I got some other things. Here's a couple other things I wish I had that I would add to this mix if I had it. Okay, is azomite, which is another kind of rock dust soil reconditioner. See, everybody always talks about NPK, and I'm going to put a screenshot of the elemental periodic table. That's what it's called, and show you. N is just nitrogen, P is phosphorus, and K is for potassium. Ask me why K is for potassium. I guess because I can't have two P's. So, whatever. But a lot of intermediate gardeners, they hear NPK, and that's what they know. Nitrogen in the beginning to encourage foliage growth, and phosphorus and potassium at the end to encourage root growth and flowering and tuber growth and everything else like that. I've never prescribed to that philosophy ever, not once. I believe in a balanced nutrition for plants, just like I believe in a balanced nutrition for people. It's really that simple. I try to stay as close to, in the beginning of 111, later on, maybe when I'm planting them out in the ground, a 555. And then possibly towards, harvest time, a month before harvest or something like that, I might upgrade to like a 10-10-10. One of the greatest fertilizers I've ever seen was Trifecta Plus. And I totally encourage you to go over to MI Gardener and order Trifecta Plus for fertilizer, because it's one of the most well-balanced fertilizers, organic fertilizers I've ever seen. And I'm going to try to tell you why. It's because not only does it have the NPK at a very balanced rate, right? But it does have the azomite. It has the leonardite. It has a lot of other micronutrients that your plant absolutely needs. Things like calcium, sulfur, magnesium. When you take a 1-a-day vitamin, it's got 50 different ingredients, not 3. It doesn't just have nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium on it. So, but I can't get my hands on azomite. I can't get my hands on green sand is another one that's excellent. And I can't get my hands on leonardite. But what I do have is dolomite. So now I got this sand from the beach. It's been washed multiple times with salt water. And it's also got a ton of crushed shells in it, like oyster shells, clam shells, mussels, all sorts of crustaceans I can't even think of have been crushed down into this soil, which is going to help with, calcium uptake and everything else. So what I do have here, like I said, was dolomite. Okay, and I will show you the bag, but it is upside down. I'll take a picture of it because the bag came with a giant hole in it and spilt all over my damn house. Rant over. All right, so I don't want to use a lot of this because this is going to sweeten up the soil. Okay, this is going to raise the alkalinity of it. If this, I said soil again, seedling mix, calcium carbonate, magnesium carbonate, and regular old calcium. People overlook these micronutrients so much. And when to start this is in the beginning when you're ready to start your seedlings. So that's it, just a quarter cup. 1 gallon total that I have here. And just a quarter cup. Now I'm just going to take all of this. I'm going to mix it all in. Like I said, I didn't want the dolomite to really throw the pH of this mix off. And this is going to take a little bit to get it completely incorporated. And I'll bring you in and I'll show you how wonderful this is. All right, fantastic. I believe I got it mixed in enough. Now, the only thing that's left to do is to water this in. Now, I have an extraordinarily advanced water separation system, filtration system hooked up to my house that my wife convinced me to buy that was way too expensive. But it takes all of that out anyway. I'm just letting you know, if you're concerned about chlorine in your water, just leave it out for 24 hours. That's fine. So I'm going to take the water. I'm going to do 16 pumps of this. And I'm going to show you how I water this, because believe it or not, it's a little bit trickier than... Boy, if you guys could see the outtake. Okay, so I'm going to put the Dr. Earth Pure Gold in there, 16 pumps for 2 guys. Watch out, that stuff stinks like worm castings. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour this on. Again, if you're worried about pests or bringing something into your house while you're planting inside, just boil your water. You'll be fine. People will think, oh my God, there's so much water, I overwatered it. Give it a minute. Mix it up. That peat moss is going to suck that dry. Reach down, grab all the dry spots, bring it up. See right now, it's going to look like it's super wet. Look at all that water coming out of my hands. I'm going to let this sit for about 15 minutes and we'll come back to it and we'll take a look. It's so funny. I got to bend down on what happened. You know, when the doctors ask me, hey, Eric, what'd you do last night? I say, I played around in a bowl of poop. All right, so I know what you're going to say, and I know what the comments are going to be right away. Don't ever add any type of nutrients to your seed starting mix. Just put it in peat moss or coco coir and vermiculite perlite. I have done that in the past. I did prescribe to that for a long time, and I never had a problem with my plants. The seedlings were always fantastic. And I always was, you know, my experiments usually turned out very well. Until I got this tip to do this soil. And I started messing around with some formulas. And what I got right now, what I can say about adding the fertilizer to my seed starting mix compared to leaving it nutrient free altogether. I mean, I know there's those people that say, oh, it's like a chicken and an egg. The egg has enough nutrients to feed the chicken until it hatches. Same thing with a seedling. The seedling has enough nutrients. Yeah, it does for about half a week or a week. It was enough to make me go above and beyond and see what I could do to, you know, propagate my seedlings better. And I came into this mix. I started with, like I do with cooking, I start with somebody else's recipe, and then I start fine-tuning it to my area and to how I grow and my habits of watering. And I have found that a mix like this is absolutely perfect. Now, let me bring you in. I let it sit for about 5 minutes. Here we have a big gloppy mess of peat moss, basically, and poop. So now, when I squeeze it real hard, I get a couple drips out, a little bit around my fingers, but not much. It looks nice and solid. It's together, but look at that. It just falls apart at the easiest. This is perfect for putting your seedlings in. And I'll show you why I pre-watered my mix opposed to, you know, watering it afterwards in the next part of the video. So as far as making your seed starting mix, that's it. It's not that difficult. Even at the advanced level, you can do this. You don't have to, you know, settle for less. The more you put into your garden, the more you're going to get out of it. It's really a simple an equation. I hope you experiment with some of these different mixes. I hope you try out some Ludinite or Leonardite. I'll never get that word right. Leonardite. Some azomite, some green sand, Some other different elements that you could bring home from the beach. I go down there in the summer when the algae's in bloom, and I bring it back and I toss it into my compost pile for some of the greatest compost you'll ever see, and I'll show you that in an upcoming video. So if you like this content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this as much as possible. And I love you, and have a great evening. I got one more video to shoot after this, and that's part 2. Planting my seedlings in this mess.